Thanks everybody for coming in today. We're gonna have some other people show up. We'll be having some more people come in as we go. But essentially, I was asked, what is this event about? The primary reason that we are holding the event is as a ceremony to make it official that we are launching the project, the Border Arts Network, the official birth date, March 31st, 2023. The Border Arts Network, what is the Border Arts Network? It's a new digital platform, a space for arts and artists, creators of the entire border from Texas to California, from the south side to the north side. We don't exclude anybody just because they're from, Amarillo or, in California from, the north side, anybody from the border states, because the border it has a lot of reach. And so we're including all artists, creators on the border, and also Mexico, and México también, los artistas, los creadores de México, de toda la frontera. Entonces, queremos dar la bienvenida a todos a que se unan con nosotros en la plataforma y posiblemente podemos colaborar, hacer más trabajos juntos, más promoción. That's the whole idea is to elevate the arts of the border, to give it its proper place, and also to help define what the border is like for most of us. For most of us, the border it's a fantastic place. It's a beautiful place, a place of love and friendship and tradition and values. And it's not what we sometimes see politicized, right? Unfortunately, or perhaps not unfortunately. Maybe it's just, it's all part of the game, right? Politics is part of our existence. But sometimes it does get a little carried away with trying to polarize people into one side of thinking, one way of thinking about this area. And a lot of people that have never been down here have a certain concept of this idea, of this area, the border as a dangerous zone where only the killers and traffickers and all those those kind of people are the ones who are here. But that's not true. The majority of the people down here are creators, artists, and hardworking people. I know a lot of people in my family who are workers. They work in factories, they work in school districts, and I admire them a lot. They may not be poets, they may not be writing books, but they are part of this beautiful fabric of the border. They contribute so much in the way of values and culture. The way they interact with one another is their own little culture too. It's this culture of like ragging on each other, right? As a way to communicate, which is rare. You don't see it, certainly, like in my experience in my circles, where I guess sometimes we tend to be a little more uptight. In those scenarios, in those environments, it's a lot more, of a closely knit kind of culture where they're like brothers and sisters, in arms almost, but they're a working arm, army of workers. So I admire them greatly, and that's why I want to highlight the beauty of this region. That's the whole purpose. I was asked what made me think of doing this, starting the Border Arts Network. Um, and at first, I gotta be honest, I didn't know why. It just came to me. It's like I was there, and from the ether, from somewhere, it just landed on me. And that was back in 2017, and I didn't know what to do with it. It was just an apparition, but it always stayed in the that there. It was always there, nagging me, like, hey, let's do something. And so in the pandemic, when we had all this danger and fear and a lot of uncertainty, one of the advantages of that is that I was able to sit down and focus and be able to really explore what it is that I was going to do with this. And so in that sense, I got something good out of the pandemic. Besides that, I mean, I started playing guitar, so that's good too. Started learning some French, I know a little bit, uh, at least some words. But yeah, I advanced the idea of Border Arts Network, and now we're here, ready to launch, and that's why this is so important to me, to be able to mark the occasion. We weren't going to do anything like this. We weren't going to do an event. I was just going to launch. Hey, we're launching. We're live. But thanks to a very close friend and somebody who has been helping me with advice and opinions and somebody who I can bounce off ideas, is Kathleen Carlson right here, who, by the way, also provided the delicious cookies. You haven't tried them? Yes. Cookies and candies. She was the one who kind of like impulsed me, like, hey, weren't you gonna do something? And I was like, oh man, I guess we do have to do something, like mark the event. So that's why we're here. That's what we're doing. And I want to thank you all for showing up. And whoever is gonna watch this, whoever watches live, it's streaming on Facebook and YouTube. And thanks a lot for coming. What I want to do real quick is go ahead and click the button and launch this thing. So that's what we're going to do right now. Let's see. Okay, so I'm on the app right now. And I guess my launch button is going to be the publish. So we're going to publish right here, right now. Okay.
Is your speech recorded for the live stream right now?
Yes, it's on.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
So there it is.
Yay.
Officially live.
Oh.
Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to give you guys, and we'll be spreading these out to whoever, whenever, from now on, access cards. Some people call these business cards. I don't call them business. This is an access. This is a key. Okay, this is your key. So I'm gonna go ahead and start giving you guys a key.
It's the first one.
Yes. Thank you. So if you guys can scan the QR code.
Thank you.
With your device, scan the code, and just allow the. Just allow the website to come up on your browser. Don't do, wait for it, because as soon as the browser comes up, it'll, like 6 seconds later, you'll see a pop-up window, right? It says, do you want to add this to your home screen? You see that? Okay. So it shows you how to do that. You tap on that little rectangular thing with the arrow. Click on that. And then you can exit the browser, and you'll be able to, you have to save the band. It says add, right? It says add, so you add it, you click add to home screen. You add to the home screen, and then you can exit the browser. Has anybody gotten there?
Yeah, I have.
Lucy, ¿lo agregaste? ¿Y lo viste en tu pantalla? ¿Está en tu, sí? Okay. So once you add it to the home screen, you can exit the browser and then go find the little icon for the app on your home screen, right? And you can click on that icon, and it will automatically pop up the app, right? Is everybody there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pedro, you got it?
I guess I am, I'm not sure, but I sure am trying here. I know what the cue card is, I tapped on it, and then it says,
Okay, just wait a few seconds, and then it'll show you how to. What kind of phone do you have?
yeah, I have the iPhone, now it says
Oh.
add ban to your home.
There you go.
screen.
Okay, so on the bottom,
Uh-huh.
you're gonna see a little rectangle with an arrow.
Yes, sir,
Click on that on the very bottom.
okay,
Not on the picture, but on the very bottom of your phone.
okay, there you go.
There it
That's
is.
what my problem was.
And then you add.
Yeah, options, I'm gonna go.
You can name it, but I think it's already named, right? It says ban.
Yeah, I went to options and it says automatic PDF or web archive. I guess I'll go with the.
No. You're supposed to see. Don't click on options.
Okay,
Just go to the bottom. It should say you should see where it says add to home screen.
there it is, add to home screen.
Okay, yeah, and then you just add. Okay, and you see right there.
I see.
So now you can open the app right there. Click on it, and now it's right there on your home screen. Anytime you want to see what's going on in the app, what's going on the B.A.N, you can just click on the app. Yeah. So this app is actually way less as far as like taking up space or anything like that. It's way less than any other regular app. So it's really light on your phone. So now that you guys are on the app, I'd like to give you a tour. And I would have liked to have the screen in the back, but we couldn't get that working. If you go to the About page, I'm going to show this to the camera. On the About page, you can scroll down, you'll see maps or, the shapes of the states, right? En la página, la primera página, About. Si ves esta, ¿verdad? Si le das para arriba, ¿sí? Ves los diferentes estados. If you click on each of those states, you'll see pictures. And if you click on one of those pictures, you'll see a full interview, an interview of an artist. Whoa.
They're saying that this area is password protected.
Sorry, hold on 1 second. I think, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use the password right now. I think what it is that Google and the search engines, they archive the page that you're using first, right? So I was using a password protected page. That's why it's not allowing, it hasn't refreshed the files. So we're gonna go ahead and use the password. It's all low caps, B.A.N. B.A.N. M.E.M.B.E.R.S. And then the number 956. So it's band members 956. Yeah, all together, low caps. Band members 956. ¿Lo tienes, Lucy? Es B.
So is the number gonna change for, let's say, California or?
No, we're not gonna have a password. The password is gonna be eliminated. It's just that for now, we need it because it hasn't refreshed. The server hasn't refreshed. Yeah. Yeah, it's not gonna be password protected. In the future, we might have membership pages where we'll provide other services and stuff. And in those cases, then yeah, there'll be a password that you'll have as a member, right, of that particular endeavor. ¿Sí lo tienes? ¿Entraste a la página?
Sí.
Donde dice password y ya pusiste el password?
Sí.
Okay.
Band of members. All lowercase again, band of members.
No, es B.A.N, B.A.N, como Border Arts Network.
Band members.
B.A.N members 956.
Okay, that's the password.
Yeah. Yeah.
All lowercase.
All lowercase.
Sí. You already have a lot of interviews on your producer band, okay?
Yes. Yeah. No, we started sending out the invitations a long time ago. But I didn't anticipate too many people, but we do have some, and more than you could, more than you can really hope to get, because when people don't have a full picture of what's going on, what it is all about, people are uncertain, like, I don't know. But now that it's going to be live, it's going to be completely open, people will be able to see what it's about, what is involved, then people will be able to say, yeah, okay, I'll put I'll do my interview, And as far as the way that the authors are featured, or not authors, but creators are featured on the different pages, that might change. We might rearrange things so it's more more like easier to navigate, easier to pop up and navigate. But for now, that's the starting point. But yeah, if you are a creator, artist, if you guys, whoever is watching or sees this later, go to the creator pages. On those pages, you can see, like right now, I'm on the Texas. I clicked on the Texas map, and at the very top, you see, are you a border artist? Click the band logo, which is right above, to fill out the interview and be featured. So you click on that. If you can go ahead and click on that, you'll see that there's where it says Border Arts Network Artist Spotlight, and that's the interview. So here you would just fill out the form. Let me just show it here. So you fill it out as best as you can, and there's questions in red and blue, which is for your language. If it's Spanish, you go with the Spanish questions. If it's English, you just go with the English questions. You don't have to fill out both. And it's only 10 questions. You fill them out. You submit whatever else, like links and stuff, and then you submit the whole thing, and we'll get it, and we'll process it, and we'll include you as a featured artist and creator of the border.
Be back in 25 minutes.
All right. Hey, you're on your break right now? Okay. There's some, I'm gonna set you up with you click on this button. And then it says, add to home screen, right? And then you're gonna click add. Now
¿Dónde le estoy metiendo mano en falta?
oh, you're okay.
Estos son los poemas del hijo de Gloria. Claro, no tiene la imagen. La imagen no está aquí. Pero está bien.
All right, so we have we got a couple of speakers right now that I would like to have come up. One of our speakers is actually doing kind of like a interview, not an interview, but a audition online right now. So he had to step out. He's gonna be doing a voiceover actually. So that's pretty cool. He's in one of the study rooms right now. So art is happening as we speak. You see what I mean? And we need to be documenting this. This is phenomenal. I've been in the arts and promotion and stuff of the arts for many years. Many years. I've been publishing books with the Reading Press. Let's say like almost 25 years. And I remember the way it was back in the day when, people would actually have a reason to say, there's nothing happening in the valley, there's nothing happening down here, right? But my philosophy since then and now was always like, well, make something happen, right? What are you doing going to Austin, going to San Antonio, going to Houston? They already have things made over there. That's not a challenge. Do something here. You do something here. And that's why we started, putting out the notices and, hey, let's put together a book. Let's do a poetry reading. Let's do, something. And we've been at it. I've been at it working with different people, doing different things. And that brings me to my first guest, who is somebody who is very active in that same way. He's been active also for many years, doing live events. He's a musician. He's an actor. He's actually been voted best actor in the the South Texas Film Festival, right? For a participation in a movie that he was in recently. He's also been in another movie called ¿cómo se llama? Old Mexico? A Night in Old Mexico with Robert Duvall, one of the greatest actors out there. And he had an actual part where he's face to face with Robert Duvall, as in his character. And he did such an amazing job that he impressed Robert Duvall, with just that small role. That's why it's so true. There's no small roles, right? That was a huge moment, to the point that Robert Duvall actually took the time to comment on that experience that he had with this artist that he had never met before and never worked before. And so he said, yeah, it was like the way he played it, the way he acted, it was like watching Marlon Brando at work. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing. So we are honored and thrilled to have that man here today. He always does the open mics, which he calls open mind, which is amazing. It's an amazing concept. Uh, Always inviting people to come in and do any kind of art that you're doing. Come bring it to the open mind events. So I'm really grateful that he is around doing these things and that he actually made time to come in because he has to go back to work in a little bit. So without further ado, I want to welcome Ray Perez.
Thank you very much. Hello, nice to meet you all. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? It's great to be here. It's an honor to be here. I think the recurring theme is going to be what he was talking about, which is the valley. The analogy that I always use is when I moved out of the valley and I saw all the stuff that was going on, I wasn't able to see what the valley was until I came back. And then I saw it as a blank canvas. And so I realized that everything I saw that was going on in other areas like Austin or San Marcos could be done here. And anybody that did it here would be considered a pioneer because it had never been done before. Another thing that I really like to touch on when I talk about the Valley and the arts is that it's possible now with modern technology, with the internet, with the connection that we have throughout the whole globe, to be able to accomplish anything you've ever wanted to without even leaving your home, whether it's acting or art or music or poetry. You can create and then you can disseminate it all over. Like people can see it no matter where they are in the world. And as he mentioned before about the role that I got, I wanted to talk about how that happened because I didn't have to go to LA. I didn't have to go to Austin. The movie industry actually came to us, and it's happening more and more frequently because so many artists and filmmakers from the Valley that live in the Valley are gathering their own resources to create high quality and high production projects that don't require anybody to leave. So it gives all of us as residents of the Rio Grande Valley the opportunity to be a part of, you know, these high quality, high production films or projects, and you don't have to leave to do it. It used to be in the past, people, and I use this a lot when I talk about having the opportunity to play a role opposite Robert Duvall, is that there are some actors that work their entire life and they go to LA and they struggle and they're, you know, auditioning after auditioning, and they dream of having the opportunity to have a role opposite an Academy Award winner. And I got that opportunity right here in the Rio Grande Valley. And it's happening more and more. And another opportunity that I was able to have through the internet is there's another actor named Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's a very famous actor. He started as a child actor on the show Third Rock from the Sun. He was also in 50-50 Batman. He started a website, a collaborative website, which is another subject that we're probably going to be talking about here today, is that the key to success is collaboration, is being able to gather all the resources and unite them to create a wider audience, a wider base, and a wider reach so that people can see the amount of talent that we have here, because there is an enormous amount of talent. Like Gabriel mentioned, I do host an open mic, and I've been actually hosting open mics in the Rio Grande Valley for over a decade. When I first came back from Austin, I saw that there weren't very many places for me to play my original music. All the bars and restaurants would hire people to play cover songs, popular music. And so I said, open mic was something that I saw over there and I could probably do it here. And it had been done here before, but it wasn't on such a frequent a basis. So I just kept pushing it and pushing it for years. I would go to restaurants, bars, anywhere that would allow us to have a space for local talent to just shine, to have a place to create and to share their arts. And there were several places where it went on for quite a while. Right now, the current place I'm at is the Gremlin in McAllen. We do it every Tuesday night. We welcome all art forms, comedy, poetry, music. We even have a magician that opens up the night every Tuesday. And it's wonderful because it's an opportunity not only for beginners to practice their craft, but also seasoned professionals can come and try out new material. It's also a way for people to network and meet like-minded people and get a sense of that collaboration, that unity. And it's been a wonder and an honor to be able to witness it for over a decade, because I've seen it. I've seen the talent, and it's abundant. There's so much talent here, and because we're on a border town, it's multicultural. It's not limited to one style or one genre. It's a mixture. It's an amalgamation of all of our experiences. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have groups like, B.A.N right now. What you all are doing is amazing. It's another opportunity for us to collaborate and to showcase our talents and to show the world that not everything you hear on the news is true about our homeland. It's sacred to us. And, at the same time, it's important that we get the messages out, the real, whether they're political or artistic or whatever, the messages that pertain to us. And it's important that we have avenues. And so the Border Arts Network is amazing. And I can't wait to get on it. As soon as I leave, I got to go back to work. So after work, I'll get on it and I'll create my profile and I'll do the interview. And I hope that everybody else feels the same way. And I thank you for letting me be a part of this. I do have to go back, and I'm sorry it was short, but I just wanted to
You got
share.
time for a question?
Yeah, do you guys have any questions for me?
You started I remember years ago, before I met you, I remember seeing, maybe even on MySpace,
Yeah.
notifications like, there's an event going on, open mic, or maybe it was already open mic back then. I think it was, I don't recall the venue, but wasn't it like Yerberia Cultura or something?
Yeah, Yerberia Cultura.
Is that the first place that you started at?
That's not the first place. Actually, the first place was a little like cantina on 3 Mile and Conway called Runners. And it was literally just a little bar, And I asked them, what's your slowest night? I walked in, I said, who's the owner? I said, what's your slowest night when you have the least amount of business? I said, oh, well, Thursdays, nobody shows up. I said, give me Thursday. Let me just bring people in. And it worked out for the artists much more than it did for the bar, because we got a lot of people coming to perform and sign up, but they weren't really patrons of the place. So it worked out, and I think that it's worked out most where there's already people there. You know what I mean? Because an open mic is not necessarily a big draw for people, except for artists. We love it, and I think my best audiences have always been poetry readings, because I'm a musician, but as a musician, I consider myself a lyricist. And as a lyricist, I feel like my songs are poems. So every time I played at, any of the poetry events that were happening, if I had the chance to become a featured musician, I would take it at a poetry reading, because poets always paid attention, and that's one of the things you can't always get at a bar, because it's like people having a good time and they're not really there for the showcase. They're having a good time, which is fine. So we've had to kind of adapt, and we've been able to mix that crowd to where they'll get there for the bar and the restaurant, but then they'll notice the talent and say, oh, wow, this is cool. And this is a really good vibe. And hey, I have friends that want to sing, or I have friends that are poets, and that's how it goes. That's how it keeps growing. But yeah, it started at a little bar on the 3 Mile Line until it closed down. And it was funny, like they went out of business. It wasn't because of us, I swear. They went out of business, and I had already had this really great night planned. I had like bands that were going to show up, and I said, man, it's all over MySpace. Like, what am I going to do? Well, the bartender was my friend, and he said, hey, man, I've got the key. Let's just do one last Renegade show, and we did it. So I said, BYOB. And so everybody showed up. It was a great night. It was legendary. It was kind of a renegade open mic night.
And you guys you didn't record that?
No, actually, it was like 2008. So we all had like flip phones back then. And it was like really small screen and very bad.
Very limited memory.
Yeah, like 0.5 pixels or something. I don't know.
a couple of megabytes.
Yeah, exactly. So back then, even selfies were rare. To be honest with you, I think we still had cameras, regular cameras. So there are photos out there somewhere.
Well, I have cameras, but only because I'm one of those, nostalgic persons.
Yeah.
I like cameras.
Yeah. Cool.
Anybody else have a question for him?
Where can we listen to your music?
You can find me online at this is funny, but it's juanydebt.com. So JUANYDEBT.com. And that takes you to my Facebook page, where you can see my link tree that has my Spotify and everything. Juany Dead is a project that I have right now. It was a character I created, like a parody of Johnny Depp. And when Bronco 956 blew up at the Pulga, I kind of jumped on that bandwagon. So I've become one of the personajes from the Pulga.
I really like the way you have framed the whole scene, because every weekend you say, let's see what new character is. What is it?
Unlocked.
Unlocked. It's like video games.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I just unlocked a new character, right?
Yeah.
And when I first time I saw that, I was like, oh, that's so cool, that concept. Like, what new character is going to be unlocked today?
Yeah.
And that's you can imagine that being a draw for people to go and see. I've been wanting to go.
Yeah.
I want to go. I've been so busy, but.
And that's one of the things that I really love about what's happening at the Pulga is I was on a podcast last week, and we were talking about how it literally could not have happened anywhere else in the world. The Broncomania is what I call it, Broncomania, because the interviewer said, hey, there's artist imitators or impersonators all over the place. There's people that look like this guy or that guy. Why is that not happening there? I said, because it can't, because the Valley is unique. And it's just all the cards fell in the right place, and it's just this formula, this magic universal thing that happened, and it's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. And so I created this character. I had already created it before the whole Pulga thing. It was just an online character for TikTok, and I was kind of retiring it. But when I saw that happen, I jumped back in, and it's been fun. Like, I've actually been invited to fashion shows. I got invited to South by Southwest, and it's great what's happening at the Pulga. It's really just a bunch of people drinking and eating and dancing and singing and having a good time.
Yeah.
And the Pulga is very representative of our culture, I think, because people from all walks of life are there, and we're all equal. Well, except for Bronco, he's up here. We're all down here, and he's up here.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but yeah, you could find my stuff there. I do. You could. I have stuff on Spotify as well. My links are on there. Any other questions?
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for doing it. Thanks for coming. Talking about what you're doing out there is so important, and the way you're contributing to what is going on down here is so creative that it's unique as well. And that's why I wanted to invite you, because I like I said, I've been dealing with artists for such a long time, and it's rare when you come across somebody who is so free. You seem to be so free right? Exploring, putting stuff out there. You're putting yourself out there. And I know, sometimes there's, the quote unquote haters and the,
Yeah.
naysayers, whatever. And it's tough. It's tough. I know as an artist myself, I know how it is to be on the spotlight and then be, have people direct their hate or whatever at you. Especially if you're doing something that is slightly either political, polemic, So, yeah, thanks for doing it. Thanks for holding those open mind nights. I've been to those.
Yeah, thank you for going. by the way.
Yeah,
That's
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool. So you're creating spaces, man. That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
And this is what the B.A.N is.
Yeah,
It's a space,
I love it. I love
a space for the arts and the creators that make it.
it. I love it. Yeah,
So
I
thank
love
you.
it. And I wish you all the success. I'm gonna be involved as much as I possibly can and share it with everybody that I know.
Thanks. And you should take some keys, access cards.
Yes, thank you. I will.
Spread them out.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you all
very
very
much.
much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks, man. I gotta run.
Yeah, go ahead and take a file of those. There's plenty, so whatever you want to do.
Hey, I wanted to meet you. Con permiso. Excuse me, guys.
Feel free to get some of those cookies. I'm pushing those cookies.
They were good, I just have them.
Yeah, those are very great cookies. Again, Kathleen, thank you so much. Both of you guys, right? You both worked on it. Kathleen is taking all the credit, but I know. No, thanks for doing it. So that's such a great thing to have people like Ray, who are so involved in the arts. What do artists get out of creating art? Certainly not riches. Certainly not always a great popularity. Sometimes you get backlash. Sometimes you get pushback. Sometimes you get disillusioned because you're working hard, and sometimes maybe you don't see much of a return, even like acknowledgement, right? Sometimes the greatest return for an artistic creation is acknowledgement, right? Somebody seeing you, people acknowledging. So part of the reason that I think a space like this is important is for authors, artists, creators to have a place where they are recognized, featured, not just recognized, but featured, right? I love technology. I love social media, the internet. Since the advent of the internet, man, the world has changed in so many good ways. And I love technology, social media, Facebook, Twitter, all those platforms are great. They are such great tools, but we have to compete with a lot of things on social media that draw our attention away from what, let's say, for instance, if you're on there, to look for specifically something like art, there's a lot of things that draw your attention away from it. And I know from a personal experience, there's a lot of interesting posts that come up or funny posts. So I wanted to put together a space where the art and the artists are the sole focus and the central, theme. So that's what it's about. So at this moment, I want to go ahead and introduce my next guest, who is here also, and I'm very grateful that she's here. She's also participated in several books that we published through the Raven Press. Um, as a writer, she's a poet, um, artist, and all around. But primarily, poetry is your main
Yes.
product, right? So es en inglés y en español, ¿verdad? También.
Sí,
Bilingüe, sí. So I would like to welcome you. If you have your poem, if you want to read a poem and tell us about your experience. I know you've been to Cuba and to other places in Latin America, so just talk about whatever you feel like talking as far as the arts. And please welcome Julieta Corpus.
Buenas tardes, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Gabriel. Gabriel, ¿cómo quieres que te llame? Gabriel o Gabriel, no importa.
Mi nombre es Gabriel, pero Gabriel también.
Está bien, Gabriel. Bien. Gracias por invitarme a formar parte de este grupo. As I was sitting here listening to Ray, I was thinking about my own journey in the Rio Grande Valley as an artist. And when he mentioned that he started, what did he say? It was 10 years ago with the open mic. I was thinking about that I also started with an open mic, but that was back in 2009. And the reason I started there, and it was Savory Perks in Westlaco, Texas. It was a small coffee place with delicious pastries. It closed a long time ago, unfortunately. But I started there as an MC. But previous to that, I was involved with the Valley scene thanks to VIPF, the Valley International Poetry Festival. And because of that festival, I was able to meet a lot of poets, a lot of local poets that I still talk with and I still see in all of these events. I want to say that VIPF was my launch. That's how I became known as a poet. And that's also where I was able to get the confidence to stand in front of people and share poetry, which is something that's so difficult to do for a lot of us because we're basically naked in front of all of you. Estamos desnudas, estamos desnudos, estamos hablándoles con el corazón y estamos diciéndoles a todos lo que traemos en la mente y el corazón. So it's very difficult. But it was also a beautiful experience and it continues to be. Ray also mentioned collaborating. As poets, it's very important to collaborate with each other here in the Rio Grande Valley because it's not such a big place and it is a close-knit community of poets, of novelists, of painters, of actors and actresses, like Miss Wendy over there. Hola. And talented poets who are also just starting perhaps, like Rosalba, and photographers like Lucy. So there's an opportunity here in the Rio Grande Valley to interact with each other and form collaborations so that we continue to expand as artists and get to know other aspects of ourselves. Let me tell you what I mean by collaboration. So about 7 years ago, I started collaborating with a poet from here, from the Rio Grande Valley, and an artist, a visual artist, Miss Corinne Whitmore. We have collaborated to the point where we have produced a book, and it's still in the works, Border Mujeres. But the collaboration part was so beautiful because I was able to work with a fellow poet whom I had already admired for many years, Miss Katie Hirth. And then I came to know this other visual artist, Miss Corinne Whitmore. And I never thought that I would be working with a visual artist. So that experience connected me to other areas of the valley that has talent, the talent of Miss Corinne Whitmore. And I was very grateful that I had this collaboration during the pandemic because even though the world seemed like going to hell, going up in flames, I had this niche, I had this window into Corinne's life and into Miss Katie Hurt's life, and all three would come together every Sunday in our homes, thanks to Zoom, and they continue to collaborate. So I continue to create thanks to those spaces, speaking of spaces that open up via Zoom. So that didn't stop. Nor did the spaces for poetry stop, because Ceres Magaña, whom you know and whom Pedro knows very well, Ceres Magaña, he's a writer, he's a playwright, he's a poet, uh, Renaissance man. Thanks to him, there was also an open space on the internet where we could all meet and all share our poetry. So that was also wonderful. So collaborating here with each other from different genres, from different walks of life, even is very important, because that's how you're going to get to know the other artists who are here in the Valley. And there's, like you said, Gabriel, there's so much talent here that all you have to do is go to any open mic, go to any art exhibit, go to any photography exhibit, and you're going to see that the talent is here. I consider myself a veteran here in the Rio Grande Valley because I have been doing this, emceeing and sharing my poems since 2008, 2009, more or less. And I have hosted events all over the valley, and I have participated, as he mentioned, in Cuba, thanks to my husband. Over there, they don't have, it's not open mic. They're called peñas. Yes, me corriges? Peñas. I still don't know why they're called peñas, but it's a space where the community can gather and share poetry and share songs and anything they want.
Musician too.
Perdón.
Músico también.
Músicos, sí. Comparten música, comparten poesía, comparten actuación. It's just wonderful. And and that's what I want to continue to see here in the Rio Grande Valley. So hopefully through this, I'm going to be able to come across more diverse artists and continue to expose my poetry and continue to hopefully MC as well. Something that I didn't do because of the pandemic. That everything came to a halt, as you all know. Todo paró because of the pandemic. And so a lot of the venues that were once open for us closed. And unfortunately, many of those venues just closed permanently. I'm thinking right now about Luna Coffee House. And that's where we would gather every Saturday. They had an open mic. And that's where I was able to listen to so many artists here from the Rio Grande Valley. Pero ese cerró, and so many others. So little by little, the venues are being reopened, and I'm hoping to get back into the scene as well, because I have been away for maybe a year and a half, away from the poetry events, away from MCing. But I want to go back into that, and also conducting writing workshops, which is another one of my passions. And so I can only say that thank you, Gabriel, for opening up this space. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited because I know that it's going to be just good things. Good things are going to happen thanks to this. I consider myself a bilingual poet because I do write in Spanish and I do write in English. I have a book that I published with A.M. or Editoriales from Brownsville. And aviéntamelo. No. And this is a book filled with poems about love and loss. I'm not going to read from here. I do want to share a poem that I usually share where I'm invited to speak as a bilingual poet. And the poem is titled Beneath My Tongue, and that's the one that I'm going to close with. Y luego, si me quieren hacer alguna pregunta, por favor, háganme alguna pregunta. Beneath My Tongue. It's like my biography. Habla un poquito de todo lo que yo soy y algunas cosas por las que he pasado. A ver quién reconoce algunas de las cosas que menciono yo aquí. Beneath my tongue. A la ruru nene, duérmaseme ya, porque viene el coco y se la comerá. Mother's rhythmic lullabies while she cradled me in her arms live beneath my tongue. Ahí viene la A con sus dos patitas muy abiertas al marchar. Gavilé Soler and his imaginative children's songs taught in kindergarten live beneath my tongue. Ángel de mi guarda, dulce compañía, no me desampares ni de noche ni de día. Grandmother's prayers of protection live beneath my tongue. Y te quiero más que mis ojos, porque mis ojos te vieron. Pedro Infante singing to María Félix, live beneath my tongue. Desde el cielo una hermosa mañana, la guadalupana. Religious songs to our indigenous Virgin Mother live beneath my tongue. Bienvenidos a 24 horas. Y aún hay más. Tenía que ser el Chavo del 8. Soy su amigo Cepillín, Cepillín. Alabío, alabao, alabim, bomba. En el nombre del cielo. A la víbora, víbora de la mar, de la mar. Television shows, childhood games, and pilgrimages live beneath my tongue. I live and breathe between two cultures. I am Mexican. I am American. I am a woman. I am an educated woman with a bifurcated tongue. I speak English and write it better than those born here. I'm a Mexican American educated woman with a bifurcated tongue, and an entire rich culture lives beneath my tongue. That is why I speak with an accent. My Mexicanness peers through my teeth and refuses to be silent. It says, aquí estoy y no me voy. It whispers, I stay here as a reminder of all that you were and everything you brought with you and shall remain beneath your tongue. Muchísimas gracias.
I got a question for you.
The,
What's the name of the title of your book?
the title of my book is Of Love and Departures, de Amor y Despedidas.
It's a bilingual book.
It's a bilingual book. What I did with this, I spent 3 years working with this book, working with the poems, because the same poems that appear in Spanish are the same ones in English. And sometimes my inspiration came in English, and so the poems I wrote in English. And sometimes the poems came to me in Spanish, and then I wrote them in Spanish. But there were some that I translated, and it's very difficult to translate. I am a bilingual translator. That's my side gig. And it's very difficult to translate poetry. I much rather translate short stories, you name it, anything but poetry, especially with rhymes. So difficult to translate.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
tried that.
Sí, muy difícil traducir. Pero me encanta hacerlo. So I keep doing it. ¿Alguna pregunta? ¿Comentario?
Where
Sí.
can we get your book? Purchase it.
You can get my book right now if you like. I brought 4 copies with me.
Cash App, PayPal.
Cash App, yes,
Both
PayPal,
ways.
everything. Yes. Gracias.
¿Explicaste de qué trata tu libro?
El libro trata, the book is about losing someone whom I love dearly to cancer. And so the poems were inspired. The poems came to me as this person was suffering from cancer when he was diagnosed and when he was going through it and after his death. And that's what the poems talk about. They weave a story about love and loss. Gracias por preguntar.
Bueno, y una pregunta que quiero hacerte yo, que te tengo en casa a las 24/7 y no te la he hecho. ¿Por qué el mar de portada?
¿Por qué el mar? Porque because everything that happened near the ocean. Because I live near the ocean in Port Isabel. And so I drew inspiration from the sea, from the ocean, and also because by this time I had already lost my mother to cancer. And her ashes are also in that ocean. And this person's ashes are now in that ocean.
Sí, sus seres queridos y muchos seres queridos
Mi papá
también se
también.
depositan en el mar, o sea, depositan
Las cenizas.
las cenizas en el mar. Sí.
Por eso.
Ok,
Gracias por la pregunta.
gracias por la respuesta.
¿Por qué el mar? Another question? Comment. Algo que quizás, una conexión que tuvieron con el poema que leí, que quizás también crecieron con esos shows o les
Pues
cantan
no,
todavía esas
definitiv-
canciones.
Definitivamente
de
relaciono
transporte.
con todo, casi todo lo que mencionaste. Me trajo recuerdos de mi niñez, Cepillín,
Cepillín,
uh,
Chavo del Ocho,
Velasco, el Chavo del Ocho,
Raúl
Raúl
Velasco.
Velasco, siempre en domingo. All these shows, Mexican shows that now seem so alien almost, but you go and you watch them again. I mean, I haven't seen any of those shows lately, but like sometimes I'll just look up a clip, right?
Sure.
De El Chavo del Ocho, como, sobre todo, they used to have a much more bigger show, que era el Chespirito,
Sí,
¿verdad?
con otros personajes.
Que tenían muchos personajes, very different characters, not just El Chavo.
Exactly.
And I used to love that part of
Yeah.
it because it was so much talent that they would go from one character to another. Era El Chavo in one, and then he was uno de los cacos, one of the robbers.
Yeah, the thieves.
Uh-huh. And then in another one, he was, something totally different.
Yes.
And there's these sketches that you hardly ever see them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But they were so smart and,
They were smart and they
So
played
well
with
done.
language more than anything. What with all these shows and the songs, the religious songs, what I have, what I have from everything is the language. My love for language,
yes.
the fact that in Mexico, los mexicanos jugamos mucho con el lenguaje, somos muy pícaros. And that's what I learned by watching those comedies. And that's what I try to bring into my poetry, the play on words, the imagery that you can elicit with just the right word. And that is my purpose as a poet, to take you on those journeys with me through my poems. I weave stories.
Yo tengo una pregunta también.
Sí, Pedro.
¿Has considerado en algún momento con tu larga trayectoria de escritora de poesía adaptar alguna de tus poesías o escribir algo original en formato de teatro o de cine?
Muy interesante. When I was taking a playwriting class at UTRGV, that's when I thought I was going to continue writing more obras de teatro, because I did write 2 or 3. I would love to share with you some of the ones that I wrote. One of them was an assignment and it had to be reenacted or put on the scene by actors, and it was a 10-minute play. And I love the creation. I love sitting down to create characters and make them talk and put words into their mouths. So I did enjoy it. I thought I was going to continue with it, but it was a poetry is the one that keeps pulling me into its lair, and that's what I end up doing. As far as a script for a short movie, I'm open to it. I have participated. I participated with Miss Carmona. The first name escapes me. Carmona from Corpus Christi, en una película corta que ella tituló El Poeta, and it's based on her grandfather. And I translated part of the play. I translated a poem in that script, en ese guión. And so I got a taste of it. We went to the premiere, the red carpet. It was wonderful. So I got a taste of that. I got a taste of the playwriting. But I'm open to it, sure. If somebody was to invite me to participate as a writer, I would do it.
Yes, and if I may, one of the reasons I ask also is because there is an emergence of local filmmakers. And one of the most important aspects, which I plan to talk about a little bit here in my talk, is about better scripts or good scripts, and not to decry any of the filmmakers, because they sure make an effort and they try, and we all fall in love with our own work, is what I've heard. But sometimes they might need someone with experience that could really write good dialogue and a good story. And so I think that maybe someone might want to commission you in the future, especially filmmakers or theater companies, to consider some of your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And what I found myself writing about in those plays that I was asked to write in that class for that class at UTRGV was I rely heavily on the stories from my own family, because we have some family dramas, mamas, that could easily be part of some scandal in a show, one of those scandalous shows, because of the interplay of the strong family members that I have in my family. A lot of them already have passed on; they're dead, pero dejaron unas historias bastante fuertes. And that's what I found myself going back to, that treasure trove of family stories that I don't want them to die forever.
Sí, por ejemplo, hay películas como una que vi en Netflix, vamos a usar de ejemplo hace unos días, Far Away, puesta en Croacia y en Europa. Una simple historia de dos parejas que se encuentran ya casi llegando a su tercera edad, pero se encuentra el amor entre el transcurso de problemas y obstáculos que ellos se enfrentan. Pero la escritora de esa novela, y que se hizo película, y no, pues es alguien que alguien que tuvo experiencia de escribir una historia, como te dice, tangible, contable, vamos a decir, y que no tiene que ser, pues puede ser de cualquier género, ¿verdad? En este caso fue algo romántico y algo que es relatable to everyone.
Yes.
So sure. I look forward to more local filmmakers tackling those kinds of stories.
Yes.
I'll be glad to audition for a part.
All right, ya quiere trabajo, Pedro.
No, pero también quiero que personas sepan lo importante que es tener un buen libreto.
Claro que sí. Gracias, Pedro. Wendy.
Bueno, en este punto creo que es importante hablar de las colaboraciones, porque como ahorita con el flashback que hiciste de nuestra niñez, creo me imagino como lo hiciste a tu manera poética, y siempre te lo he dicho, me encanta cómo dices las cosas, cómo declamas, y sobre todo escucharte cantar. Bueno, en el caso de, por ejemplo, que tengo él aquí, o sea, yo me imagino como actriz, me imaginé ya la escena también, o sea, en artes escénicas, me pude proyectar en tu poema. Él tal vez ya lo vio como que de una manera ya como fílmica también, y lo que menciona Pedro también como en teatro. Entonces creo que es bonito saber, pues ese es el punto de este tipo de reuniones, ¿no? Para ver en qué nos enriquecemos, porque pues al fin de cuentas somos ramas del mismo árbol
muy bien dicho.
En las artes. Entonces con el conocimiento de cada uno creo que se puede hacer algo, muy bien, aparte de todo el talento que hay en el baile.
Mucho talento.
Felicidades.
Sí, muchísimas gracias, and thank you everyone for being here, for supporting the arts, for supporting this project. Y de nuevo, gracias a todos ustedes, gracias a Gabriel.
Thank you. Well, I want to go ahead and move it along real quick, because I know some people have to take off. I want to introduce our next guest. He's a longtime artist, creator. He's worked in theater and film for many years. He's worked in projects like The Fast and the Furious, the movie, Breaking Bad, The Queen of the South, a bunch of really cool projects. And I'm impressed and also honored to be in his realm of, people that know him, that we have contact. He's also the creative director of the FAR Community Theater. Before that, you were with Teatro Nuestra Cultura. That was your own project, right?
Yes, sir.
So I know him from way back when he used to have Teatro Nuestra Cultura. So he's been active creating and opening spaces for artists for a long time. He did that for myself as well, for me. Give me the opportunity to work in a play called Pat and Lyndon back in 2016?
Around that time.
Something like that. And where I played the part of President Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Baines Johnson. From Cotulla, Texas. So it was such an enriching, great experience. I have video of it. I've meant to ask you if we can share. I don't know if I have, if there's any rights conflicts, but it's just a public recording. So I would like to share those maybe on the band, you know, eventually, because not just for myself, I mean, of course, yes, I was great. No, but no, the whole, it was like something meant to be. You put a group of people together that magically, I don't know how it happened, that everybody worked so fluently, so like we knew each other, like we had played, you know, done plays before. I had never done a play like that. I mean, I've been involved. I had never acted in a play. I didn't know what it was to do a play. Pedro, you showed me what it was, and then I was like, oh my God, that's what it is to be in a play. Yikes, that's a lot of work. As a spectator, we tend to look at something artistic and just evaluate it on the spot and be like, oh, you know, that's that painting right there. I could do it. You know, like I could do that. Maybe I could. Maybe probably not. You know, it's the same thing with acting, and not only that, it's the same. It's the same thing with acting in theater. Such a different experience than acting for a movie camera. I mean, I've been in movies as well. There's 2 movies that I'm in that are available on Amazon Prime for streaming, and the experience is also great. But the work that goes into performing for a camera versus working for, you know, performing for an audience night after night, that is where the magic is. If you can bring this character to life again and again, 2, 3, 4, 5 nights, and give the performance, you know, the same degree, the reality, you know, that bring them to life. That is where the real sauce is, right? And that was a real big lesson for me, man. Like I had such a bigger appreciation for what it is to be an actor in theater, and respect, you know, respect. So I thank you for that, and I want to welcome you. Thank you for coming. I want to welcome Pedro Garcia to the stage.
Am I tall enough for your camera there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot that I could say to begin with, but first I want to say thank you and hello to a lot of friends that I know that are here, and my new friend, Jorge. It's a pleasure to meet you today. We'll meet you. Yeah, and everybody else. And, when you said your speech first, there's so much goodness and good stuff that you said. And one of them was how positive we are here in the Valley, but how much negativism is sometimes shared, especially through the media, one media in case, without mentioning their name, one of the local talk shows. I think one of the only ones that you hear a lot about the ugliness and the terrible people that are here wielding machine guns and all those bad people that are here because of the undocumented immigration. And they're over and over and over again. I got a call from a friend from Michigan not too long ago. Hey, Pedro, are you okay? I hear that it's terrible over there, man. Is it really bad? Is it like, I said, wait a minute, where are you getting this on the news and all that? I says, well, I know that there is immigration problems in the world and here in the Valley. But no, man, I'm fine. I'm cool. I mean, I'm not hiding or anything. One of the things is I see that there's a lot of talking on these talk shows about the negativity and badness of undocumented immigration. But there isn't a lot of solutions being offered. I have a solution that I think, I'm getting into the politics right now, but I'm going to talk about filmmaking. That's what I'm here for today in theater. But I think I've even written editorials and say, how about a big talk on banning cheap labor worldwide? That could be a solution in the right direction. Oh my God, nobody wants to talk about that. They even told me on Yahoo, oh, your comment is not allowed because of I don't know why. I wasn't saying bad words or anything like that. But I know it's a far-fetched idea. We all like to buy products at the lowest price and all, but how much profit does the business person need? I mean, they could reduce their profits and pay better, but I blame those people that exploit the cheap labor and also the countries that allow it to happen. But let's talk about solutions when you talk on radio, not just decrying and decrying. And another thing, there should be positive programming about all the beautiful things that happen here in the Valley. I read about beautiful things, about kids getting a great education. I go to UIL competitions as a judge, and I'm like, whoa, we got some great teachers here. and some great students. There's a lot of beauty and a lot of powerful positivity in the Rio Grande Valley. So that's my 2 cents on that kind of politics right now. Talking about my work, my career, in 1987, when I first did my first play, back in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I spent 10 years. In 97, I came back and I started Teatro Nuestra Cultura. And then I went to FAR Community Theater Company. So I've been in the business for about 37 years now. And yes, I acquired a talent agent. When I came back from Albuquerque, I had just finished doing Mad Love, first big movie with Drew Barrymore. I had one line in the movie, and wow, and there I was in a big screen when I saw it. And instead of going to Los Angeles to pave the pavement over there as an actor, I came back to help take care of my father, which I have no regrets. But in the meantime, I started Teatro Nuestra Cultura. And I said, I'm going to do a theater company here because of all the 10 years experience that I had in Albuquerque. I learned a lot about directing actors. I was an actor, but I was being directed. And I learned a lot. My eyes were open, and I was getting cast in one play after another. In the 10 years I lived there, I participated as an actor in over 60 plays, más o menos 60 plays. Got my first agent and got my first part in Mad Love. And then I came to the Valley. And instead of just, I took care of my father, but I said, in the meantime, I'm going to start a theater company. So I started Teatro Nuestra Cultura to practice the craft. I was still interested in acting. And I got a talent agent. And then I got another audition for Halt and Catch Fire, and for the ones you mentioned, Breaking Bad, and The Queen of the South. And I got bit parts. I call myself the king of bit parts. Yeah, I'm in those movies, right? But I have one line here, 2 lines there. Last week I auditioned for The Chosen. That's a big show with that's in its 4th episode now. So I have my fingers crossed. All I do is I get the script, I read it. Nowadays you can read on camera, self-taping, which is great. And I self-tape myself and I send it in, and then I just let whatever happens. My agent says, don't worry about calling me, Pedro, to see if you got the part. If they want you, we'll call you. So that's what I tell people that I help cast now. Hey, I'm going to audition you for this commercial, because I do freelance casting now here too. I said, don't worry about calling me back if you got it or not. If you get it, I'll let you know. Okay. And if not, let's move on to the next project. If you don't want me to represent you anymore, just let me know, and I won't, submit you to casting producer. I'm doing a commercial for Stars Driving. Have you seen those late ones? I cast those commercials. Even Wendy got a part in one not too long ago, right, Wendy? I cast her in that part. So sometimes I do some freelance casting. Take it, there's not a whole lot of commercials being produced down here, but it's getting busier, because here we are. And the Rio Grande Valley is not Kansas anymore. We have freeways that are being built now, big and stuff, because there's a large population here of people who want to strive, who want to work, who want to have a better life, who want to be positive. And that's what we should focus on. And with that said, the filmmaking business and the theater business has an audience. I like to say que esta frontera tiene 4 millones de personas aproximadamente. Si le tiras Matamoros y Reynosa y Roma, todas esas ciudades fronterizas con todo el Valle de Texas, yo creo que son casi 4 millones de personas, I would assume. Some people say 1 million, 2 million. I don't know if they throw in all the frontera. But we have a lot of people here. So if there's 5 theater companies and we all have a play around the same time, but that's inevitable sometimes. So, hey, everybody could get an audience, So I like that it's striving, because I can sell more tickets for the plays. I can find more actors to auditions, because when you audition and you get a part, son 6 a 8 semanas de ensayos. Y ese es mi pet peeve, actores que no llegan al ensayo a tiempo o que llegan tarde. Entonces, pero si tú haces esas 2 cosas, estamos bien. Y yo tengo ya aquí en el Valle más de 20 años de estar montando obras de teatro. Y hay una disciplina en todas las formas de arte, en teatro, en cine, en tocar el saxofón. La disciplina es muy importante también conocerla. Y eso es lo que enseñamos en FAR Community Theater Company. Discipline and performances. And Gabriel says, well, how did you cast all those people to play Pat and Lyndon? I got him as Lyndon B. Johnson. I got another guy to play Patricio Castañeda, the soldier from the Vietnam era. And I got about 12 others, including a guy to play Pat McNamara. Who was Pat McNamara? He was the Secretary of Defense during the Vietnam War and during the Lyndon B. Johnson time. Secretary of Defense, where did he come from? He came from Ford Motor Company. Kennedy said, that guy runs Ford Motor Company like a charm. I want to get him to be my Secretary of Defense. Pat McNamara didn't want to be at the beginning because he said, I have no experience in politics, but you're a good salesman. Come on. So he convinced him, hired him, Secretary of Defense. And before Mr. McNamara passed away, he wrote a book called In Retrospect, which deals with how he really felt about being the Secretary of Defense and about the errors that him and Kennedy and others, not willing errors, but errors that were committed that during the Vietnam War, and it ended up costing a lot of lives and stuff. So his book is called In Retrospect. From that book, a local surgeon, Dr. Archer Crosley, who you would have to ask permission in order to show the videotape, because there is that politica, copyrights and stuff. Maybe a little skit can be shown, no problem. We'll talk about that a little later on. But Dr. Archer Crosley adapted from that book, and he wrote his play, which I've already produced twice. And it's a really heartfelt story about what Mr. Johnson may have been feeling during the war, and what McNamara was feeling, and what the soldier Patricio Castañeda was feeling when he had to say goodbye to his mom and his dad because he was going to be shipped off to Vietnam from Westlaco. Man, it gives me goosebumps right now. Talk about effective memory. Talk about an actor who wants to learn how to cry. Just read the story about the soldier who passed away. And you read it, you don't even know the soldier, but it'll bring tears to your eyes. Empathy and those kinds of things that we teach in acting, and that a lot of people who come through the acting doors, they learn a lot about how to portray a character, how to make a character believable. Like when I just read for The Chosen, that's a big part. So if I get it, it's not going to be no big part anymore. It'll be a big part. So, cross your fingers for me. And how I had to kind of imagine that I was living in the time of Jesus Christ, and how I was the father of this young kid who just met the rabbi, and he's trying to enlighten me with it. And I'm trying to see if he's okay up there. I don't know what he's talking about. And that's my dialogue that I had to try and convince him that they should cast me. Okay. Yeah, I had to sign an NDA, so please don't tell anybody about what I'm talking to you about right now as far as the storyline.
Good thing we're not live.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Sorry.
Well, it's a good thing, ladies, producers. I didn't say a whole lot. I'm just saying that I auditioned, and more people will watch the show. Okay, I just told them that. So thank you. Love you guys. All right. So anyhow, this book right here. Now let's get talking into filmmaking for the 20 minutes that you said that I have, más o menos. Ya van como 7. Pues, iba a poner yo mi timer para 20, pero no lo puse, pero ya más o menos aquí lo tengo. Okay. Entonces, I'm a big fan of acting for theater and for film locally. Those of you that are trying to do film and theater, I encourage you to baby your scripts. Make those scripts really good scripts. Don't just write them in 24 hours and say, I wrote it in 24 hours. I say, I can tell. But if you write it and you rewrite it and you rewrite it, and it means something to you, where you finally can get married to it, where you're not like half like, oh, I don't know, but I'm going to let it go anyways because I need to get it done. Don't cheat yourself like that. And I'm not looking at anybody particular here. I'm looking at all of you, because some of you are writing and some of you are producing films, and others that are watching us. Write it and write it until you feel like I can get married to this now. That's a form of talking in theater when you love something. I tell actors that are real good on stage, man, you are a monster. You become a monster. What? Yeah, your performance is great, man. So work on that script, work on that short story. And for local filmmakers, I encourage you, if you haven't really dabbed at it, try short films, short scripts, and make those babies shine and cast it well, and then get it done, and keep practicing on coming up with good stories before you go into your production with hiring your cinematographer, your costume designer, your set designer, your actors, and all the people that are going to work behind to make sure that you capture those scenes, and that the actors can come and say your lines and really make your story much more meaningful, much more like believable, much more impactful. With that said, I'm going to read a little bit from this book here, which I bought about 20 years ago when I was having a little bit of a problem with the script that I was overseeing from another man who wrote a short story, which I felt should be adapted into a screenplay. And he hired me to be the producer director. And then I hired a couple of screenplay writers, and things started to go like, wow, where I was being sabotaged. I was like, no, the script belongs to us now, and this and that. And so that project was shelved indefinitely. But I love the script, and I don't know if I'll ever make that one again. But I bought me the book called The Pocket Lawyer for Filmmakers, The Pocket Lawyer for Filmmakers by Thomas Crowell. Anybody who wants to make a film and wants to learn how to do it, legally, or where you can distribute it and nobody's going to rip you off. This guy here, he's been working in that kind of industry for many years. You can get this book for like $30 online. And the little part that I was going to read, there's the disclaimer, there's the dedication and the acknowledgments about the author. Introduction. This book is intended to provide you with a grasp of many of the key legal issues you will be facing during the course of making your independent films. It can help you understand and negotiate crucial production contracts, steer you through the choppy waters of handling actors and their agents, and navigate your productions past perils of copyright infringement and other lawsuits. Most importantly, it can help you protect that most valuable of properties, the rights to your film. Now, I always say there's a conventional way of doing things and there's a non-conventional way of doing things. The conventional way shows us the formulas that have succeeded, right? And sometimes that's what we follow. You follow, first you need maybe a producer, then a screenplay, then you need, the producer is your investor as well, and your screenplay, and then your director, and then your camera operator, your set designer or production designer, and so on the line, which is the formula, the protocol. But if you're going to do it a different way, hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that either. You might not have the formula, but if you're going to make your movie, blessings to you and good wishes to you, and you make it the way you can. You might not have a producer, but you have yourself and you have las ganas and you have people that want to be in it. Then I don't decry that way either. But if you want to get this book or not, and you want to learn how, once you make your film, who owns the rights to it, how do you get distribution, this book can be very helpful to you. I've recommended it to a lot of people that ask me about protecting their film, since I had to go through that at one time. And, I also used to think about the $1 million movie until I said to myself, what the heck, Pedro? You're not going to be able to get $1 million as easy as you can get 30,000 or 200,000. So now I want to make the $30,000 movie or the $200,000 movie. And what am I going to do? I'm going to make a plan where if I'm the director, I'm going to get paid per week. And everybody else that's on the crew is going to get paid per week. And that pay is going to total $30,000 for 5 weeks. So then I'm going to pay everybody for 5 weeks payroll until and it's going to take just that 30,000 so that we can make my movie in 5 or 6 weeks. And then the rest of it goes into, not the rest of the money, because the money's over. You already paid everybody, but you got now a film, a tangible film. And then you got to figure out how to distribute it and all that. And since you own the movie, because you took care of that at the very beginning, if you're the producer and the director, the main investor, then you own the film. And now that the film is done and everybody's been paid, then you find out how you're going to distribute it. And if you promise somebody that invested, then once your movie makes a certain number, you pay your investors. Maybe you got them on a string where you have to give them a certain percentage every year after your movie starts making money. Whatever, however you do it, there's a conventional way and there's an unconventional way. As long as you're honest, I say, honest and integrity. That way you're going to get a whole lot more people with you and that are going to believe in you and they want to follow you. That's very important, I think. So I got about 8 more minutes left. And acting. I like acting. And if sometimes when actors that are coming to the theater company for the first time or for the 3rd time or for the 10th time, because we've been around for 15 years at Far Community Theater Company, we have open auditions every time for our plays. We put on about 3 plays every year, about every 4 months. I'm always announcing a new play. Right now we're working on our next one. We just finished Patricio Penitente, and now we might be doing maybe The Wonderful Ice Cream Suit or 6 Characters in Search of an Author. Man, that's a heavy material there. 6 people walk into a play that's being directed, and the director's directing 6 actors, but here come these weirdos. Sir, you're interrupting our direction here, our producing. Yeah, but we're looking for an author to tell our story. We have a story much better than the one you're telling here. What? Yeah, it's weird. Yes, please stop what you're doing and listen to our story. This here is my wife. That over there is, oh, I don't really like talking about him because he's in the nut house. That's my son, but he's loco. Anyhow, blah, blah, blah. So, wow, imagine playing that part, or the part of the son, because the son has a big part too, and the mom and everybody else. So when they ask me, how do you become a good actor? Well, I say, get yourself cast as often as possible. When you finish one play, and if you really liked it and you want to learn acting, get yourself in another one. And get yourself in another one. You're going to dedicate 6 to 8 weeks of your time in rehearsals and stuff. But if you really pay attention, like I did my 10 years in Albuquerque, before I got Mad Love, I was really paying attention. I said, yeah, I want to be an actor. I want to be a professional. So I paid attention. And those kinds of opportunities is what we offer at Far Community Theater Company and at other local theater companies, or even filmmakers here locally. If they cast you, get involved, learn, and try things in character. Try to find out how to portray that character as believable as possible. If you're playing a woman in a movie that is being abused by her husband and she wants to get away from it, then if I cast that part, I need this woman to really show that kind of feeling, that kind of emotion, and hopefully not just pretending. Acting is a lot of pretending, but acting can also immerse you into reality, into really going there and tiring yourself in a performance. And the director and producer finally, they say, cut. Whoa, did y'all feel that? That was nice. Okay, let's move on. I have a film that I wrote called tentatively La Soldadera. I stopped hiring people because I didn't want those nightmare problems, right? So I said, now I own the rights to La Soldadera. I own it. I got it copywritten. And it's in the shelf right now. It's collecting a bit of dust because I wrote it about 8 years ago. It took me about 6 years to write this baby, one after another, not constantly, but one after another until I finally got married to it. I said, man, I love my story now. And I know 3 women that are big Hollywood actresses that are advocates for domestic abuse. I said, one of these days, I'm going to contact each one of them and see if they would like to be an investor in my script, if they like it enough as much as I like it. So there's a character in my film. Her name is Matilde. Matilde is about to go beat up a man with a bamboo stick. Bad. She's got a bunch of women following her. And they're going to do this deed because this man almost killed one of their friends, his so-called wife, beat her to death, almost made her blind. And these women are not going to stand by and let the law just turn a blind eye. They're going to go over it. Now that story came from a postcard that I read once from my nephew who was in Peru. Earlier I mentioned about Frank Capra's story, A Wonderful Life, where one day he read a postcard, and that's how he wrote the script to A Wonderful Life, big time movie. It does have a message too, if I can recall that one. But anyhow, my cousin, my nephew from Peru, who was doing a mission assignment, sent me a postcard about an Indian woman from India with a big bamboo stick, and the title was called The Gulabi Gang. Right now, if you Google the Gulabi Gang, you'll see this picture, and you'll even see the story of how these women in India decided that they were going to not tolerate domestic abuse no more because the government and the law enforcement were turning a blind eye. Oh, just the way it happens here, can't do nothing about it. So they decided that they were going to stop it. And when I said they read that, there was a lot of articles coming out about domestic abuse on the rise in Mexico and even in America, and how women get killed, some men as well, by people that abuse them that way, which is not a thing that's supposed to be normal, like some unfortunate women from some maybe downtrodden country thinks, oh no, that's the way it is, así debe ser. Yo hago caso, mi marido hermano, si me golpeas porque yo hice algo mal. Entonces, todos esos pensamientos no ayudan a combatir el abuso doméstico. So what I did was I was inspired by the story, and I decided to write a story, but I set it in Mexico and the United States, and I tentatively call it La Soldadera. One day, I hope I can make it into a film and cast the right people, but also get the right plan. Like I said, 30,000, 200,000, 1 million. I don't think I'm going to get 1 million. Maybe 200,000 si le pongo ganas, porque conozco mucha gente, y mucha gente aquí en el Valle tienen dinero y van a invertir, pero tiene uno que ser campeón para ir a buscar a esos invertidores. Yo sí te puedo montar una obra de teatro así de volada, porque sé cómo, pero buscar dinero, hijo, eso me agüito. Cuando voy les digo, hey, can you give me some money? Hey, come back tomorrow. Oh man, I hate to go back tomorrow. But there are people who can help you budget your film that are real good at, what time do you want me to be here tomorrow? how about 4 o'clock? And they go at 4 o'clock and he's not there or she's not there. Oh, well, tell him I came and then I'll be back the next day. And you go. Son campeones para traerte el dinero porque creen en tu producto y porque tú mismo vas a tratar de entregar un producto que brille, que tú tengas. Pero bueno, toda inversión es ¿qué dicen? Un risk, un riesgo. Entonces, a lo mejor haces un contrato, por tus $10,000 te voy a dar 2.5% de la ganancia de la película después que se distribuya. Sí, muchos invertidores te firman el contrato, te prestan los 10,000, pero también abajo dice, tal vez esta película no va a ser un éxito, ¿verdad? Entonces, tu inversión es un riesgo también para que tú sepas. Toda la integridad que les dije, la honestidad, y tú trata de ser tu producto, ¿verdad? Con el dinero que te van a dar, por lo menos para que les enseñes a todos tus invertidores. Esta es nuestra película, lo que pudimos hacer. Ahora vamos a ir a la parte que sigue, distribución, para ver si podemos nosotros recuperar dinero para pagarles a ustedes, bla, 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 y todo eso, ¿verdad? But lastly, get involved with good scripts. And those amateur writers and screenplay writers, I would like to maybe see your scripts being done, and I support you and I support the effort, and maybe it's going to be great, or maybe it's going to be, wow, you have lots of potential. I want to see more of your stuff, right? And all kinds of stuff. I congratulate and applaud all the local filmmakers, all the local actors that keep practicing and keep practicing. In my case, I've been in the business for so many years. I haven't gotten any lead roles in films. I've tried for a lot of them. And I get little bit parts here and there. I don't know, maybe I'm not living in LA or I'm not living in bigger cities. I'm living here in the Valley, but I am helping others with what I do in the theater company. And also, I don't stop because I have a passion for it. And I've gotten more and more experience. Now you can give me a part to read for, and I'll try it and I'll give it my best shot. And I might end up getting some bigger parts and what have you. But my main goal is to keep working as long as I have to, as long as I can, not to be a star or to be the main guy. I mean, if they make the Pedro Garcia show on NBC, well, I'll be there. The Pedro Garcia show, hey, I can be funny, or I can be sad, or I can be, orale, how you doing, man? Welcome to mi casa. But if that doesn't happen, it's fine. Because life is what's most important, living your life, enjoying your life. And if anybody has any questions, I'm open for questions, and I'll leave you with this. They say that life is better when shared. Thank you, Gabriel, and everybody else here.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I remember years ago, and you might not remember this, but years ago, man, like when I first met you, you asked me, because you knew I was a writer back then, and you asked me if I would ever consider, I guess, or I guess maybe you were putting the task, like on me, like, would you write a story based on the border that deals with a family through generations of a single family?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
I don't know if you remember asking me, but that must have come. It always stuck with me because I always felt like that's something that Pedro has, like an idea, an inspiration, but it's not something that is out there. You haven't found it, right? You hadn't found it back then. So what came of that idea?
Well, I'm glad you reminded me of that, because what it is a travel log screenplay or script, a travel log of history. Like when I first heard of the idea was when I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We did a play called Nuevo Mexico Sí, which took us back to the time of the indigenous people that first lived in New Mexico, in that area, up until the new governor that was there already. So it took us as a travel log in vignettes of history of the starting of an area until what it's become. So what I thought about, that would be great for South Texas. For example, we don't see a lot about the Coahuiltecan Indians, or the gathering of the Coahuiltecans, which supposedly was a bunch of other bands that were together. They call them Coahuiltecans. I'm not really sure. And then what happened after that? Maybe Cabeza de Vaca, when he came here and met with those Indians, and then the rest of the Spaniards, and then Mexicans, and then the Anglo settlers, and and so something of that was the formula for such a script. I have not written it. I have not pushed it. But if anybody is interested in it, that's great. There's before I let you ask me another question. For example, there is another story that I would like to write, and it is a history of Tejano conjunto music, and I'm writing it. You know, you're going to see Selena. You're going to see Little Joey La Familia. You're going to see Gilberto Perez. You're going to see a bunch of the conjunto musicians and Tejano musicians who participated in that kind of music and that is still thriving today. And it's had its rocky roads here and there. And it'll tell of the origins of the music and also the errors of the music, if you will, sometimes in the dialogue and the lyrics and all, but mostly of the love for the music in this region and its birth. That's one script. Another one is I already forgot which was the other one. Sorry, but yeah, what I was going to say is I can't read all the scripts. I do encourage, like I did earlier. I asked Mrs. Julieta about her endeavor into maybe writing a script and others in Gabriel. But I do say that if I don't get to read your script, others can read it and do it. But I would like to read it if I have the time and I can, and it can fit into the only 3 plays per year that we do. But Mission, Texas, we're in Mission, right? Yes. Mission, Texas needs a community theater. Who's going to start it? Anybody? The Mission Community Theater. And guess what? Guess what? There's a lot of buildings available that will take you in like that. You got to go to the city hall, or you got to go to the city, the what do you call it? The economic part of the city, the Chamber of Commerce, and tell them, I want to start a Mission Community Theater Company. I want to do 3 plays per year. I need a building, and I need your support. I need about $60,000 per year because I'm going to hire a CEO, an artistic director, and I'm going to get a board of directors, and we're going to bring Mission up with culture in theater. And they're going to say, well, está ese building que está allá, está bien grandote, go see it. Está ese otro building allá, y ese otro building, yeah, they're not being used.
Está el Border Theater. Great looking theater.
Yeah, but there's also that Melhart's building that's on Conway. Right. The old Melhart building. That one is just sitting there like this. And then you got the Kmart building. I don't know if they ever did anything with it.
They're doing something with it already.
Well, maybe you have to use the whole Kmart building, but you use part of it. But there is city funding. If you are the leader of a theater company, get the city funding, get it started. And not only in Mission, Alamo, Texas doesn't have a community theater company, nor West Dakota has a Tower Theater. It's easier said than done. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to get rich, but at least if you can secure a $30,000 paycheck for yourself, then, maybe that's going to be good for you. Maybe you're not making 30,000, or maybe, you want to try it, and maybe you won't get the 30 to begin with. I'm worth about 80,000 right now a year. Do I get that? No, but I'm working on it. A quarter of that, I think. But I'm working on bringing in a new CEO because I never was CEO material. And I told the board from the very beginning, but we need you to be the CEO. I said, okay, but I'll try. And I did. But I'm an artistic director. I know how to put together a crew so we can tell a good story. And now, thank God, I'm luring in somebody to help me be a CEO so we could do our theater company justice, get paid well. Not to say, well, like greeting well, but to get paid what you deserve, and also implement other theater programs like the juvenile rehabilitation program that I've had in my mind for years now. Because theater skits to take to Evans Detention Center, those help rehabilitate those kids because they still got a chance, and there's different ways. So theater is powerful. Sorry, went on a long binge. To answer your question, put me in your movie or whatever. No, just kidding. Yeah. So any other questions? Any other comments? Want me to do my stand-up comedy routine? I got 10 minutes.
There you go.
Just kidding. No. And I have a book also that I wrote called 12 Diálogos Cortos. You can get it on Amazon. I have this one copy. The woman who helped me publish it charges $18 for it, but I'll sell it for $15 if anybody wants it. It's in Spanish, and it's 12 short dialogues to practice acting. But you can get it on Amazon as well. 12 Diálogos Cortos. Well, that's my 20 minutes, young man. Do you have my $100 you said you were going to pay me?
Yes, you will get paid cash out.
Just kidding. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and thank you, Gabriel. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What's this? Thank you so much for doing it, Pedro. You know that, that question I asked you about that time that you asked me to write. I don't remember if you asked me to write that or you were asking me, do you have anything like that, right? I took it as a challenge, but I never, I was never able to organize myself down, to make something like that. But I always thought it was a really interesting idea because I love stories like that. I don't know if you ever heard or read Reign of Gold,
Yes, I have.
author, ¿cómo se llama el
Victor
author?
Villaseñor.
Villaseñor, yes. I love that book. That's a book about a family through the generations, right? And it's such an amazing work of art. Uh, and I like stories like that. There's other, stories like Mi Familia, the movie.
Oh, yes, yes.
Love that. It goes through generations, just like, The Godfather. That's another generational story. So I love those kind of stories. And when you mentioned that, I was like, wow, yeah, that's a great idea. I would love to do something like that. I just never got around to it. But yeah, it's still there. Still there. Maybe someday.
Yes, like I said earlier, one of the main conventions is to be able to get an investor that likes your idea and will give you a timeline and the funding to first and foremost turn over a script. And then from there, you move on to the possibility of producing it.
Yeah.
But funding is, we always overlook that part, I think that the new Southwest International Film Festival this year, they're gonna have a panel about fundraising, about investments, because that's the first thing.
That's the most important
If
thing
possible.
for movie making. That's one of the most important aspects. How do you make a great movie if you don't have the funds? I mean, you can, I guess you can, right?
Yes.
But sometimes if you want people, especially when you want more people involved, a bigger production, you
More
do
quality.
need, you need the money. You need the money. If you do something like found footage, right, or you just have a group of people, and you're using your cell phones, that's been overdone already. But I mean, if you have an original idea, I mean, you can still do it. But for most other projects, you need funding. So that's a really important topic, really important point. So thanks for giving us a glimpse of the business, the way you know it, the way that's why I wanted to form this space for people to exchange ideas and talk about things like these, because artists want to know. Artists know one thing right away: our art, right? Our inspiration. That's what we know. But there's a whole bigger picture, a whole bigger aspect to art than just your inspiration, just your creation. There's the marketing side. I know a lot of authors don't like the idea of marketing, the idea of marketing themselves or idea of marketing, in general. They actually hate it, the concept, It's like, what? A marketer, it's like a bad word. But to me, this is a concept that I came up with. I don't know if somebody else has ever, but because I've been in publishing for such a long time, to me, publishing is marketing. Publishing is marketing. Why would you put your thoughts on a book format to publish, if not to market to somebody? You're not publishing it to put in your closet, under your bed, right? You're marketing yourself. You're marketing your ideas, your creative, do you have a question?
Just I don't want to lose track of that point.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a cultural thing with us? Going back to the theme of Pedro Penitente, the play that our community theater put on. As artists, we have this phobia or hate for money.
Yeah.
We want to be the bleeding heart. Do you think it's cultural?
Nah, well, cultural in the sense of like something that artists, go through. Yes, in that sense, yes. It's an artist. It's an artist's. How could I say this? Like, it's in our DNA, I think, to a certain extent, in artists, to want to be divorced from the idea of profit, right? So that because what's the first thing you think about when somebody who's in a band, let's say, for instance, right, breaks out into a solo career, right? Sellout, right? Or a hard rock, metal band, playing all this raw songs, and then they make this other new album with very pop sounding songs, and it becomes a major success. What do they become in the eyes of the artists out there, the real critics, right? They become sellouts. That's what they said about Metallica. I remember, when they started doing more popular music, that started really reaching millions. People, the hard rock fans were like, fucking sellouts, they're sellouts. So I think it's a cultural thing in that sense, not really like something about, Hispanic people, Latinos. Although there is also that saying about Mexicans, right? How do you keep Mexicans down? ¿Cómo va el dicho? Que like Mexicans are like crab in a bucket, they pull each other down, right? Like you don't need to push them down, right? That's the idea. That's the concept that some people have, and maybe it's true in some, corners, that some people might, rather put you down than celebrate your contributions, because it's like la envidia, right? The envy. It's like, I'm not gonna celebrate this guy. Who's this guy? I can do better than that, and then you don't do anything, right? But still, you're not gonna celebrate. You're not gonna elevate this person. So I know that's real, but I don't think it's a Mexican thing. I think it's it's a universal thing that we all go through. Envy, for other people's success or whatever. So, but yeah, it happens. But as far as the marketing aspect, being treated as a 4-letter word, I think it's slowly something that people need to understand, that it's a natural part of being a creative person. What is creativity if not something that you put together to put out there so that other people appreciate, right? It's something that you're going to show off. Otherwise, it's not. Otherwise, it cannot exist. If it's not going to be marketed, right? Marketed to others, it's not going to exist. It can't exist. It only exists when it's appreciated by others, right? I mean, it exists in yourself, but then why would you publish it if it's just for you? Just keep it there, right? Otherwise, if you're publishing a book, making a movie, doing a play, doing stand-up comedy, doing stand-up poetry, right? Spoken word, you're marketing yourself. You're marketing your art. It's marketing, period, right? So that's what I want to amplify, is that part of the arts. Is we need something to push these arts out there, make it more visible, marketing better. So that's what essentially what the B.A.N is all about, promoting and marketing the arts of the border creators, right? That's what we're doing. So I know that some people might need to leave. So the whole program today was mainly to do a ceremonial launch of the platform. Like I said at the beginning, we weren't even planning to do a thing, but Kathleen made me do it. Kathleen, do you want to say some words? I know you probably don't have anything prepared, but would you like to say some words?
Sure.
All right. Kathleen Carlson, she's got an upcoming book of poetry, and she's already published another one right before that. What's it called?
Spiritual Reflections and Some Not So.
We can bring that if you want. Kathleen Carlson.
Thank you, Gabriel. No, I don't have any prepared remarks, other than please buy my book. It's on Amazon. Once upon a time, there was a little plant, and it was planted in a little pot. And the plant had good soil, and it was watered, and it grew in place. And it got bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden, it felt, well, this pot is getting a little tight. I don't know, I gotta move some of this earth out, do something, because I'm getting bigger. And I want to spread the word that I'm a beautiful plant and my flowers are coming out and throwing branches, but this pot is kind of tight. So he saw the roots were coming out the bottom, and he got worried because the roots weren't getting any water out there. But he was afraid to leave his pot. It was so comfortable, and his friends liked him in the pot, but he couldn't grow because the pot was too small. I think that some artists are comfy in their little pot, but what the Border Arts Network will do is get you out of their pot without leaving it. So you've got a mortgage, and you've got kids in school, but you can use this as a way to get out to Peru. You can get to New York. The online marketing, as Gabriel was saying, is the way to go. So you can stay at home, but you gotta get yourself out of your little pot. And that's one reason why I chose to use Gabriel to get my next book, Emigrate, out of my little pot, which was scared of the internet, still is. Can't hit a button without hitting two buttons. So that's my speech. It's a great way to get out of your pot if you want to challenge yourself. Amen.
Amen. Well said.
Wow, that was beautiful. For not having a prepared speech, that's great. Thank you for that picture, that image. It's a really, really on point, for what we're trying to do, trying to flourish the arts of the creators of the border, help them flourish. So with that said, thank you all for the people who joined us on the live feeds. We have two, one to Facebook, one to YouTube, but these videos will be available for you guys to review at a later point, whenever you want to. If you want to cut up some clips and post, share on your Facebook or your social media or your websites, whatever, you have the permission. So with that said, thank you all very much. One more thing. Wendy, querías... Okay, vienes de espectador nada más. Okay, bueno. So with that said, thank you all very much, and God bless. And feel free to get some of these keys to the kingdom. You can share with the friends. Yeah, these are keys, man. These are keys. They're not business cards.
Sí, literalmente.